Hello, this is like almost 5 a.m. San Francisco. Um, did some clubbing, lost my phone, so I'll have to figure that out tomorrow morning. Um, but yeah, like there's only one thing that's so important that's still keeping me awake in this hour. It's how a startup make final decision, like the important, difficult final decision, not the day-to-day decisions. So how? It's simple. You have a person who's responsible for the outcome having the right to make final decision. And this is the only way, or this is the only kind of startup, like power startup I would create, and also the only kind of startup structure I would invest in or join. Um, why? The rationale is really straightforward. If you think about, yeah, you can think about a startup as a fast driving car on a mountainous road, um, or an army that's going to war. The stake is really high. The cost of failure is dying, essentially. And you often will end up with a situation where you have limited time, limited amount of information, and you have to make a really important decision. Which in such case, right, you always want to have a driver or a commander who is both in charge of the outcome and have the right to make the final call when necessary. But I think some people might challenge, like, why isn't it like not good for a group to make the final decision? The argument might be like, as a group, right, collectively, there's more knowledge, there's more awareness, there's more like guardrails, right? Like, it sounds like that could be a more wise decision than a single person. That's on the paper, unfortunately. In reality, what kicks in is the motivation slash the human nature. And the truth is that people have to think about themselves before they think for other people or the group, which means in really difficult situation and when we're expecting a group to make a decision and such decision have strong personal impact to every individual in the group, then each individual has to consider their self-interest ahead of the group interest, which their self-interest sometimes could also be manipulated by capital or other stuff. And in the end, the outcome would be hard for the company to make the best decision in the right amount of time. Besides, if nobody's really like taking ownership, right? Like who would be willing to put in stake into such a company? Like it's such a risk. People, when things goes to shit, people are gone. Like no one's gonna take responsibility. That's a problem. And also, I want to touch on these two different roles or these two different um position. They're equally hard. Um, Imagine that you are the person in charge, right? The amount of power is equivalent to the amount of liability you hold to the company. So in plain word, it means when things go to shit, like absolute shit, and which is the end story for most startup, you have to clean up the mess. When all of your team member, like your employees are rightfully gone, you are the person that has to take care of everything. Like, it's not fun. I'll tell you that. Like, in my past startup, like, after everyone else stopped working on it, I've spent over a year as a collection agency myself, collecting the contract payment from our customer. And I end up returning $1 million to our stakeholder. But all of that is just volunteer work. Man, it's not fun. And if you happen to be the person who has to trust someone else to lead or to take charge, then it's a really hard, first, it's a really big ask. And it's a really hard decision or like to overcome this um mental burden because you're trusting someone's capability plus their integrity. And integrity might even be more important. You're trusting the person can make good judgment and will take care of the group and make the rightful decision and have the right bottom line that they will not abuse their power. So it's a really big ask. Like we can almost think about it as a trust test where we're testing the amount of trust that's within the group. And not all these relations pass the test, but only the one that passed the test has a chance to succeed. Other other ones would eventually evolve into like co-founder disagreement and shit show. So yeah, and one more important call, like always join a company or invest in a company where someone is in control. Like otherwise you're wasting your time and money.